Hello, my name is William Bellestrini and I am a software developer at Autologue Computer Systems. My area of specialty is electronic cataloging with the Wrenchead catalog. Today I'm going to give you a quick demo of ViSiACE, our latest Wrenchead cataloging product, now using the Wrenchead ACES online data source. Let's first talk about the benefits of ViSiACE over the previous versions of electronic cataloging, in particular VisiCat. Since all the catalog data resides on the internet rather than on our computer, we don't need to deal with DVDs. There's also no worry about data timeouts. Even with the fantastic program Night Vision doing the update for us, we don't even need that anymore. And since we have an unlimited source of information on the internet, there is no problem with data space. We won't be dropping older vehicles in order to make space for newer vehicles. And there's even room for things like medium duty and heavy duty trucks, which we never had before. And the third major point is the data is very dynamic. Updates that used to have to wait until a DVD update are now done overnight. Today I'm going to demonstrate ViSiACE on an AIS system. Note that ViSiACE is a Windows program with a TTWin integrator application within it. And basically ViSiACE switches between TTWin and electronic cataloging modes. Let's start an invoice on our AIS system. If you are an AIS system user, the screen will look familiar to you. You can still use F4 to get to electronic cataloging, but if you have dual cataloging, you need to press F12 to get to VisiCat in particular. So let's go ahead and do that. Pressing F12 brings up the main ViSiACE interface. Now let me show you a few points about that interface. At the very top of the screen, we see the account information, the name, and also the account number and phone number. Once we've picked a vehicle, we haven't picked one yet, the vehicle information will be shown up there. The four buttons below that are the mode buttons. Vehicle, where we pick the vehicle. The second one is parts, where we pick the parts for that vehicle. The third button is catalog view. So once we've picked the parts in the vehicle, the parts will be shown in the catalog or the catalog view mode. And finally, we have the interchange mode where we can type parts and interchange them to other manufacturers. A new lookup will always begin with the vehicle first. With ViSiACE, you only ever need to put in 2 digits for the year. If you put in 21, it knows it's 2021. If you put in 98, it knows it's 1998. When you select a make on ViSiACE, all the models that are applicable to that make are shown below in alphabetical order. Remember that. There's no separation of cars and trucks. It's alphabetical order. And searching for a model is easy. We just start typing it. As soon as what we want comes up on the very top of the list, we just hit enter and it selects that, in this case in Ford Edge. Now move the cursor up and down to select the engine you want and hit enter. When you do, the screen will go into parts mode automatically. You'll see your vehicle that you selected at the top. By the way, if you click on it, it'll give you more information about that vehicle. In parts mode, you will see the various groups and subgroups for each highlighted group. So as you select a different group on the left, you will see the various subgroups on the right that apply to that group. For example, here's all the subgroups for brakes and wheel bearings. To select a group, I can use my cursor key and hit enter, or I could type the number and go over to the right and pick the subgroup. Oh, by the way, the yellow box indicates where you are, where the cursor is active. So let's select ignition and filters. And now I can move my cursor key, or if I want filters, I just hit enter. And the cursor will automatically move down. And on the bottom, you can see that I have selected filters in PCV. Moving up and down arrow, I can select other items. Oh, by the way, if you accidentally select something else, go up, select it again, and it comes off the list automatically. Once I have made my subgroup selections, I press the spacebar or click the button if you want, and the mode now changes to catalog view mode. Each catalog entry will have the description of the part, your line code, and the part number, the vehicle quantity, and also a flag whether it's an alternate or supersede. Your on hand, the warehouse on hand isn't available yet. That's a future update. The customer's price will be shown here, and price 1, which is usually the list price, will be shown as well. You'll see the core, the years applicable, and how many on order and back order that's showing in your AIS system. Your catalog screen populates with the pertinent information. You can use the mouse and scroll up and down to see more information. Of course, you can just use the cursor key to go up and down, and you will automatically jump to the next invoiceable item on the list. Now you would simply use the cursor key to move to an item you want to invoice and hit enter. You'll hear the sound and you'll see that the last item selected goes on the bottom on the list. Here you can select more items, or you can go back to invoicing by hitting the F11 key. You'll see now that the vehicle description has been added as a note automatically for you, and then as well as the item that you invoiced. ViSiACE is smart in that if you select more parts for the same vehicle, you will not get another message line for that vehicle. Whenever we return to the catalog screen from point of sale, we always go back to right where we were before. For example, if I want to go pick more parts for the same vehicle, I just hit F4, pick the group and the subgroup that I want, and then I can go ahead and select those additional parts. And since it's the same vehicle, ViSiACE will now put on another message line for that vehicle. The catalog system knows the default quantity of any particular type of part. For example, on this particular car with a 4-cylinder engine, the default for NGK spark plugs is 4. And you'll see that 4 is in my cell quantity automatically. If I just hit enter, it will bill out 4 of those NGKs. So if I want a different quantity, before I hit enter, I just type the new quantity, for example, 2, and enter. And it will automatically go onto the invoice screen as a quantity that I've selected. Sometimes when you're doing a lookup, you have to go back and select a different engine. To do this, I would just simply hit the F3 key on my keyboard, which would put me back into vehicle mode. Here I can select a different engine, and then the parts come up for that engine without me having to reselect the part group and subgroup. I can even go back further. If I hit the F3 key, I can hit escape, and I will go back up a level to the model and select a different model. I could even go back to the make and the year if I need to. For your convenience, ViSiACE remembers a number of the last vehicles that you worked on. These vehicles are all the vehicles worked on all workstations in your store. Items in yellow are the vehicles pertaining to this particular account. The blue ones are for all other accounts. Simply cursor down to the previous vehicle you wish to continue with and hit enter. You can see that the vehicle is now at the top, and now you can continue working on lookups for that particular vehicle. ViSiACE has a really helpful feature called the view mode. Let me give you an example. Let's bring up some filters. Now, normally the display shows by manufacturer, Wix, then Fram, then Hastings, then Perlator. So each set of parts are underneath that particular manufacturer, regardless of whether they're oil filters, air filters, cabin filters, etc. Sometimes, however, you would rather compare one product line with another. The F7 View button allows you to do this. If I switch from manufacturer to part type by pressing the F7 key, all like part number types are together. For example, oil filters are together, air filters are together, cabin air filters, etc. So now you can compare one manufacturer against another for availability and price, etc. Whichever view mode you select, ViSiACE will stay in that mode until you switch it back, and that is only for your workstation and no one else in the store. Most manufacturers have images and buyer's guide information available to Wrenchead, which can be viewed during a catalog lookup. For example, if I want to take a look at this alternator, I just simply highlight it and then hit the F1 key as indicated above. Pressing the F1 key will bring up what we call the Smart page, which is the manufacturer information for that part. In this particular example, the Smart page contains several images of the alternator, and you can even zoom in and take a closer look, maybe to check out the wiring, etc. of the alternator. Often the Smart pages will have OE interchange information, sometimes aftermarket interchange information, and the buyer's guide, which shows you the applicable vehicles for that part number. And you can have an unlimited number of Smart pages open at the same time. One of the unique features of VisiCat and VisiACE products was always the ability to be able to select multiple groups and subgroups in a single action. For example, if we go to the part group section and we pick, let's say, ignition and filters and then filters, we can press escape to go back to groups and select more group and subgroups. Let's say hoses, belts and hoses. Then we can hit escape again, and let's get front pads. And now we can proceed to do the lookup by pressing the space bar. You will notice that what VisiACE does, it puts tabs along the top for each group that we worked with. Then as we work with the listing, we just hit the space bar to go to the next tab, or you could jump to a tab by pressing that letter in front of the group, like A, B, or C. So far during this demonstration, the catalog view screen has been in what I call dark mode, meaning it has a black background. I find it easier to read, but you can change it back to the traditional mode by clicking on that button on the bottom, display mode. Now this goes back to the traditional look that VisiCat used to have. Whichever way you prefer, it will remember and stay that way until you change it again for your particular workstation. VisiACE gives you the ability to interchange parts from one manufacturer to another. Press the F5 function key and you will see this interchange screen. Step 1 is to put in the part number without any line code or manufacturer. When you click go, VisiACE will look for every manufacturer that carries that part number, which in this case could be a Gates belt or even a Wix filter. Since in this example we are interchanging from a Wix filter, we select Wix. The third step is to select either to cross to my product lines that I've defined or all lines that Wrenchead carries. First I'll do an interchange to my product lines. Please note that at this time, quantities and pricing does not show up yet in the interchange. Now, if I would like to interchange the Wix filter with any product line that Wrenchead has, I can search for the name by typing it, or I can just look for it and check off one or more items, and that part will be interchanged to those product lines. One of the great features of the ACES Wrenchead database is giving you free heavy-duty and medium-duty trucks. If I check off the boxes for medium and heavy duty truck and then perform a lookup, you're going to see some makes that you would not normally see. For example, Alexander Dennis, Autocar, here's Bluebird, that's a bus company. So you see there's a number of heavy duty, medium duty vehicles that you would not normally see before. Keep in mind this is kind of best effort because these are different worlds than the automotive. ViSiACE provides the ability to search for a vehicle by its VIN number. Put in a valid VIN number, click Find, and then if that VIN number is found, of course, the vehicle will come up at the top, and then now you can continue the lookup for that vehicle. Another thing you can do if you're in the United States is you can search by the plate number. So you would pick your state, which by the way you can set in the defaults I'll show you later. Put in the license plate number, and then ViSiACE will do a plate to VIN lookup and give you that vehicle information as well. When you set up your catalog product lines using Catalyst, you would normally put in the primary, just what you stock, and the alternates, what you can get. For example, here I have Wix and Fram as my primary. To get to my alternates, all I do is hit the asterisk key, and the catalog shifts from primary to alternate. Now I get my alternate lookups. This is a much more efficient way of doing catalog lookups rather than putting all product lines just under your primary. Hitting the asterisk key again returns you back to your primary product lines. In ViSiACE, the catalog display can be adjusted a bit. By stretching it to the right, you will increase the font size of the catalog data, or by stretching it downwards, you will be able to add more lines of display. Whatever your settings are, ViSiACE will remember those settings for your particular workstation. Note also that the TT-Win portion of your display can be sized as well. You will notice a few options on the top of the terminal interface screen. There's a connect button and a restart button, but what's important here is the config button. Here you will set up your host IP address, your system type, connection type, and your username and password. Usually you don't have to change these things ever. But one of the things you might want to change is your color scheme. And there's a few basic schemes that you can change to. Real simple. Another button at the top is called the Help Desk. This will start a team viewer session, which is the current platform for support with Autologue. While in terminal interface mode, there is a couple of buttons at the top that allows you to copy and paste something that you see in the terminal screen to your clipboard. Click the copy button, makes a copy of what you've highlighted, and then clicking paste will just paste that to whatever field you're at. One of the workstations in your store will have the Options button. This Options button is universal for all workstations. You select the type of catalog data, whether you want trucks to be visible on the screen, whether you want the plate to VIN feature, and also here is where you set your default state for your plate lookup feature. Again, it's universal for all workstations. So this has been a 20-minute overview of ViSiACE. Thank you very much for your time.